But we've got no stranger to the show, Blind Limey.
Hey.
How's it going? How are you doing?
Doing all right, chaps. Just thought I'd call in as a caller. Bit nostalgic, you know. To talk about the topic that was posted in the poll.
Right.
And as my thing says, like, religion doesn't need to be in science museums. We already have museums for religion. They're called churches.
That is correct.
But further to that, it's one of the things that, I mean, I would like to see a world where superstition goes by the wayside, obviously. We wouldn't be doing what we would do if it wasn't for that. But I don't want those vaunted buildings torn down or destroyed. I want them preserved. They are a cultural artifact. They're also quite beautiful. And so, you know, I don't want churches burned. I don't want them torn down. I don't want them destroyed. I just want them to go the way of horse-drawn carts and leeches in medicine, like part of history that we can look back on. Weren't we so silly?
And we're lucky as well, Blind Limey. I'm going to call you Jamie, but everyone knows. Yeah. We're from a place where we have really beautiful churches, and some of the churches in the town that I'm from are huge and grand and beautiful, and people should go in and go, oh, look at the architecture and how they built these things in the 1700s. I'm sorry, America, you don't have that because you're so young as a nation, but we've got that beautiful architecture. Let's show them off and go, you know, this is what people believed back in the 1800s, and this is a gorgeous building to go along with it.
Can I object to us accepting Blind Limey's call, because now it's 2-1 Brit to American?
Right.
I feel attacked, quite frankly. Your comment about how old your buildings are remind me of the old Milton Berle line when we'd meet somebody like, oh, I've got underwear older than you. You know, like, that's the British attitude here.
Yeah,
but I agree. I find some of these buildings beautiful. I don't know if I'm allowed to plug locations, but I am a board gamer, and I go to Gen Con, the big board game convention in Indianapolis. There is a pub there. If you Google Indianapolis Pub in Church, great. They're friendly to the conventions. It's a pub that is in an old church, and it is gorgeous. And they serve great food, by the way. So highly recommend that. But yeah, you can repurpose these buildings for anything. I've seen counseling centers. I've seen athletics in them. Yeah, the buildings can be gorgeous. And I think the longer we go on, and we see over the last 25 years a real increase in the United States and globally of people stopping to self-report as a particular religion and instead reporting that they are of no religion. As that continues to increase, I think you'll see these buildings get repurposed. I think there's a comedian, Steve Hofstetter, who just bought an old church and turned it into a performance center, an art center.
Oh,
so
nice.
it's up in I think he's in Pittsburgh or Philly, somewhere up in Pennsylvania. So all over the place it's happening.
I'd like to see more churches become pubs, because there aren't enough.
Pubs,
yeah,
in Great Britain.
No, in the US.
Okay.
Yeah, no, in the US, there's not enough pubs in the US. I remember going in my old hometown. You could do a pub crawl and you could play pub golf, and you could get at least 18 holes. In the US, or at least in the town that I'm in, there's 2. Yeah. You can't play pub golf in a 2-pub town.
Pub golf.
In general, yes, but I thought you were doing a little wry nod to the fact that one of the biggest awful conglomeration businesses in the world, the McDonald's of alcohol, JD Spoons.
Oh, yeah, no, I shouldn't. Yeah, no, you're right.
For moving into churches. Now, they're like, it's nice that they keep these listed buildings up and running, but I have kind of beef with that, you know, being one of them lefty types, of the horrific capitalism that is encompassed by the Wetherspoons brand. But back to sort of the original point as well, a museum calling itself a science museum can put in itself whatever it wants. It's a private organization. Unless it's owned by the government and run by the government, we can't tell them what to do. However, I mean, defying science. Like,
yeah, I think that's kind of the key. I'm going to actually. I'll take exception to one thing you said, which is the government can't tell them what to do or say. I'm going to read into it. And you're right, especially in the United States with the First Amendment, there's a lot going on there. But there is a threshold. There is a criminal threshold in the area of fraud. So if I am going to, fraud is I'm going to make what I know to be a false statement of fact to you in order to induce you to give me a thing of value, money or your time or whatever. And if you reasonably rely on my false statement, I've just committed fraud. So if I've got a museum that's saying a bunch of stuff, hey, let's look at the Ark encounter one, which is sort of what spawned this, right? We had a survey. Hey, should museums be science museums have religious stuff in it? They've got to be conscious of that, right? If they start asserting things as fact, they're going to approach an area where they're saying things that they know is not true. I'm not talking about Jesus rose and all that. It's like if they say that the Ark was discovered, right? That's been attempted 17 or something times the last I read, and it's never been vetted and proven to be true. Obviously, in the United States, there's a big threshold there to get into criminal speech, but at some point they do have to wander that. Other countries may have lower thresholds because they don't have quite the same First Amendment protection. So, yes, they can do anything, but they can't commit fraud. So that was my only comment there, and they know it. So you watch very carefully when you go to the Ark encounter. I haven't been yet, but I'm betting they go up to a line, but there's something they will not say, even though they want to.
Yeah, interesting point, and I'm glad you sort of because again, I'm not a lawyer. I'm also not technically American yet. So,
I'm not technically an American officer.
Well, I mean did you see the story that I spoke about at the top of the show where the Ark Encounter's bringing up this thing down in Pigeon Forge? Are you aware of it, Jamie?
No, I haven't seen it. The last story about the Ark Encounter that I saw was that they got flooded.
Yeah. Oh, the irony. Oh, dear.
It wasn't the Ark itself, it was their visitor center, but it's still hilarious.
Right. Yeah, right. What I would like to see is like a group of us non-believers all going there on force and just experiencing it together. The only trouble is I don't want to give them my money.
Yeah,
it's only like an hour away from me as well.
Dinosaur Adventureland as well.
Yeah.
Well,
I think that one's free, right? I'm sure Dinosaur Adventureland is one that they let you can just go and turn up. That might be wrong. Yeah, down in Alabama. I'm sure that one is free for entry. I could be wrong, so don't quote me on that.
I think you're right. You're right.
The Ark Encounter, I looked at the prices and it's like $119 for like 3 people.
That's Disneyland prices. Like we are like a Disney family that enjoys those. That's a 1 day in the park ticket price.
Right. And there's dinosaurs next to sheep. So you know that it's not true. So why would you waste your money? Anyway. We've probably given way too much time to the Ark Encounter.
That's probably true.
It was good to speak to you, though.
Yeah, I mean, even the Ark Encounter, right? As long as if it changed hands, if it came out and a secular organization kept it and said we are maintaining this as an artifact of how silly religion,
right? That's what it should be.
The fact that the people are saying this happened. But anyway, I've chunted enough, mate. So I'll let you go.
And only we will get that. Which is, even better. Cheers, Jamie. We appreciate you calling in, as always.